Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Marketplace. Coming up, Parliament expected to vote on 3 key revenue measures government is pushing to help it secure an IMF deal. Meantime, businesses are kicking against the new tax measures. We hear from the Agribusiness Chamber, which says businesses cannot afford any more taxes. Plus, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta leads government's delegation to kickstart debt restructuring negotiations with counterparts in China. We'll discuss the outcome of that coming up here on the Marketplace. Thanks for being with us, everyone. My name is Daryl Kwawu. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. First up, Parliament is expected to vote on 3 new revenue measures, which is key for Ghana securing a deal with the IMF. Businesses are already kicking against these new tax measures. We'll head to Parliament in a moment where we expect MPs to vote on these revenue measures. But first, this report from Kwawu Asante.
Almost everything off its schedule for Thursday to allow it more time to deal with these outstanding bills. These bills are the Income Tax Amendment Bill, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill, and the Growth and Sustainability Amendment Bill. If passed, these bills are expected to rake in about 4 billion cedis annually. President Akufo-Addo, in his message on the State of the Nation, urged Parliament to expedite action.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the House for its support throughout this process, including the passage of key revenue laws. However, a few more of these measures, namely the Income Tax Amendment Bill, the Excise Duty and Excise Tax Stamp Amendment Bills, as well as the Growth and Sustainability Levy Bill, are outstanding, which need the urgent attention of the House and passage to complete the prior actions. This will put us in readiness for our presentation to the Fund Board and, more importantly, bolster our domestic revenue mobilization efforts.
But the minority say they still have outstanding issues which must be cleared.
So it was part of the 2023 budget presented by the Finance Minister. So I know we are going to deal with it, but we have some reservations. The way we are looking at the economic environment that we find ourselves, the hardship that people are complaining about, inflation of 52%. So on top of all these, if we want to introduce additional taxes or increase the bandwidth, people are going to pay more, and it's going to affect the disposable income of the individual. So these are the matters we are looking at. Is it the right time to impose taxes on the people? But they are looking at the IMF deal, so that they can rake in the 3 billion facility. But we can't eat your cake and so have it. So let's also think about the ordinary person on the street. If we impose this additional tax, the tax burden will be heavy on them.
Leadership on the minority side especially have been tight-lipped as to where the caucus stands on these taxes. But time will reveal it all on the floor of Parliament today. Reporting for JoyNews, Kwawu Asante.
Well, parliamentary correspondent Kwawu Asante joins us from over there with the latest. What is happening as we speak?
So the Speaker of Parliament just came in a while ago. Currently, the House is correcting the votes and proceedings from the previous sitting, and then they will zoom right into business. Like you've just heard in the report, Parliament has decided that today, Thursday, they're clearing every other thing off its schedule. The most important things they're going to do with are the 3 amended bills, the financial revenues, which government expects will rake in about 4 billion Ghana cedis if all of them are expected to go through. And so right after the correction of votes and proceedings, expected that the MPs will zoom right into it. The report of the Finance Committee on all these measures have already been made. They've been on the other paper for weeks now. And so they will be moved, they will be seconded, they will be debated. And because all of them are the 3rd reading stage, a vote is expected to happen thereof. The minority, like we heard there from Richard Achampon, have not shifted positions so far. They say that these are tax measures that will worsen the current plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. I spoke to a highly placed source within the minority leadership who says that we should expect a showdown today. They've been a little bit tight in terms of explaining where exactly they stand on these bills, but telling me expect a showdown with a certain understanding that they are not so much in favor of these bills. And like you said in your introduction, businesses have taken against these three separate tax measures, and the minority the members say that they're going to stand with Ghanaians and reject these measures.
But government deems these new tax measures as very critical for an IMF deal. Tell us what is at stake.
Indeed, without this, it will mean that government will struggle to get that board level approval, because you need to prove to the IMF that you are able to raise more revenue locally. It's something that government has been grappling with for some time now. And so just right there on the floor of Parliament, you would see the seriousness with which government is attaching to these businesses. Almost all NPP MPs are on the floor today. The General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Frimpong Kodia, has also come up to the floor. He's in Parliament today. He only comes around when such serious businesses are expected to be transacted, and he's sitting right behind the majority MPs. This is expected to be a numbers game, especially the minority decide not to play ball. The majority ordinarily have 138 MPs, but we don't know if Sarah Joseph will be in Parliament today. We also know there's a deputy minister who is not in the country now. If all these MPs do not show up, that leaves NPP MPs with 136. The minority will also have 136, and if both sides go at each other on the floor of Parliament, the motion should be lost. And so government is attaching some seriousness to this. Already we've seen the mad timeline of IMF. Ghana did not reach out, and it's because government is still grappling with these revenue measures as well as the external debt restructuring. The finance minister is not in town. Ordinarily, if he was, he would have been on the floor today to try and get some support on both sides to get these revenue bills through. The minority side are also coming in with their numbers. Ultimately, this will be a numbers game. This is not a secret vote. This is a vote by voice. And if the leadership are not even satisfied, they can ask for a head count. And so it makes it easier for the whips to actually keep their members in line, because no MP would want to go against the whip that would have been issued. But clearly you would see from the interaction and the reaction of government officials and the majority people on the floor, the kind of urgency with which they are attaching to this, for which reason the business committee decided to program only these bills as the key issues that government is dealing with today on the floor of the House.
Well, there was some earlier reporting of some push to reach a consensus and avoid the vote. Are you getting those indications as well? And will the minority yield, do you think?
Indeed, yesterday, Parliament sat more than 3 hours after its scheduled time. They were supposed to sit at 10. They came in almost at 1 o'clock. And the Speaker of Parliament explained that the reason for the late sitting was because there was some negotiation going on behind the scenes. Yesterday, what he said, in his own words, was that no agreement had been reached, but that they were close. This morning, I tried to find out if an agreement had been reached between the minority and majority on some of these key business. What a leader, a key source within the majority leadership told me was that to expect a showdown, clearly indicating that there's been no agreement as of now. But even on the floor, there are still a lot of talks going on to try and reach some compromise before these tax measures, which are the third reading stage, which means they are the penalty, they are almost at their end stage. The motions will be moved, it will be debated, and then they will go right into the Speaker calling out the vote. But the government side will be doing all it can to try and get some agreement with the minority. Early on, before some of these issues came up, we knew that the minority were trying to get some agreement to see, well, we can help you pass this, and then maybe you take out the guarantors, you add a guarantor system to the ECCI. Some of all those details are still at large, and we do not know if any agreement has been reached as of yet.
All right, you say to expect a showdown, so we will be following closely. Kwawu Asante, thank you so much for the update from Parliament, where we expect a vote on 3 key revenue measures put forward by government. These revenue measures crucial to securing an IMF deal. We'll head back to Kwawu when there's any new development, but I want to bring in Daryl Kwawu, who is a senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, to share his thoughts about what we are seeing or what we expect to unfold today in Parliament. And so government needs to pass these tax revenue measures so we can secure an IMF deal. Businesses are also complaining, this is so hard on us, we can't survive this. Where do you stand in all of this?
All right, thank you very much, Larry. These new revenue measures for example, the National Fiscal Stabilization Levy is not a new measure. They are just changing the National Fiscal Stabilization Levy to Growth and Sustainability Levy. So that is a levy that has been paid earlier on by companies. But this time we have categories of companies that are going to pay for it. We have category A, B, and C. Category A companies are going to pay 5% on their profit before tax. And these category A companies include the banks, the insurance companies, telecommunication companies, bulk oil distribution companies, and the rest. Category B, those companies that are in mining and other related activities, they are going to pay 1% of their gross production. The total gross production is what they are going to pay on. And then the other category will be paying 2.5% on the profit before tax. This very one is also going to put a lot of pressure on the companies, but they have been paying it already, just that they have categorized it in a different way. And for that reason, Parliament may consider to get that one. But the other bills are going to put a lot of burden on the Ghanaian. The other issue is that the approach to which we implement our policies becomes a problem for me, because we go to Parliament, and once we hear this kind of ups and downs, where Parliament will be telling us that let's expect a showdown, some of these things discourage the taxpayer from paying the taxes. Government needs to adapt a different strategy when it wants to announce these policy measures to carry the Ghanaian citizens along, so that at the end of the day, when you are paying the tax, you will feel free to go through, so that we'll be able to get the IMF deal. And everybody is needed.
And I guess that's the most important consideration as we discuss these new tax measures, that we need it for an IMF deal, and so it is a necessary evil. And so at a point, we've got to get the buy-in of businesses, we've got to get the buy-in of the minority MPs. What can the government do? What should it give into to be able to have these people buy into their new tax measures?
All right.
All right. Obviously, we do have some issues with the connection with Daryl Kwawu. We'll try and fix that. But we've been talking about the 3 new revenue measures that we expect Parliament to vote on. As Kweku Asante indicated, the Speaker just stepped into the House. They are at the initial stages where they are, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and then they move on to the real stuff. I believe that Daryl Kwawu is back on with me. So, Daryl, you're making a point?
Yeah, so I was trying to say that once we have the rates that are there, there is the need for us to ensure that if the rates are going to come down, they come down. And we must assure the taxpayer that we are going to use these monies prudently. One of the issues that consistently come up, and then minority has been talking about it, and the Ghanaian population has been talking about it, is the size of the government that we have today. If the size of the government remains the same, and you are still asking the companies and individuals to pay more taxes, it becomes very difficult. So government should also listen to these issues that come up.
But 4.5 billion cedis annually, that's what they are hoping to get out of these taxes. Is that over-ambitious, do you think?
Yeah, for me, the lessons that we've learned from e-levy, where we thought that e-levy was going to bring us so much amount of money, and then we've not been able to close the loopholes. and it is a tax that people can easily avoid, then going for this particular one is an ambition that we want to carry out. But we only have to make sure that when the tax is passed, we do not have ways by which other people can avoid the tax. Tax avoidance is not a crime in Ghana. And so we need to ensure that there are no loopholes where people will avoid it, but they will be able to pay for it. And then the tax collectors, that is the Ghana Revenue Authority, would also ensure that they put in measures that will enable government rake in the needed amount of money that we need.
We are also following closely, Seram, the finance minister's trip to China, where he is expected to negotiate debt restructuring as part of our work towards securing an IMF deal. What do you anticipate to be the outcome of those engagements with China?
All right, very much.
All right, not a good day for technology. Seram, can you hear me? All right. Daryl Kwawu, we're going to try just a bit to get him back on. And so what the story essentially is that the finance minister, Kenneth Oyata, is in China right now to negotiate debt restructuring. We are still waiting news on the outcome of deliberations so far. But Seram, I was asking what you think will be the outcome of those meetings. Can you hear me, Seram?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, very much. So I was the point that.
Okay, technology not so favorable, so I think we'll leave it there. But thank you so much for your time, Daryl Kwawu, who is senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. We are following closely the trip to China by the finance minister and government delegation over there. If we hear anything new about the outcome of that meeting with China, that engagement with China, we'll update you on subsequently. I don't know if we have Anthony Morrison on, who is the chief executive of the Agribusiness Chamber, because you're heading back to the issues to do with taxes and concerns from businesses in the agri sector about how that would impact their operations and the agri sector, and to a large extent the economy. Anthony, so what exactly are your concerns with the taxes?
Well, thank you very much, Daryl. One would have thought that in this point of economic restructuring, one would have thought that the government would have brought up incentives that will strengthen indigenous food production and also the factories to be able to continue to keep a lot of Ghanaians in employment. But what we are seeing is not the best. Already, when you bring a container of agro input, you have about 15 taxes to pay. And I can tell you for a fact that over 500 containers belonging to agricultural input importers are stopped at the airport as a result of already introduced 5% total import levy. This will impact very heavily on the food production in the country, and this will also affect our food security interventions. Daryl, one would think that at this point in time, job creation will be a priority of government. Making available affordable food will be another issue of priority to government. But what we are seeing so far, certain introduction of new taxes are not helping the agricultural sector. This is going to affect poultry production. This is going to affect grains and cereals production across the country. And I must say that we are not in support of this. This is very disingenuous to local businesses in Ghana. This will not help Ghanaian business owners, whether you are a producer, an importer, or you are into manufacturing sector. This must be redone. It's something that the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana is seriously working towards to see what we can do within our means to make sure that our MPs in Parliament, who also have constituents who feed and also produces food, are not overburdened with some of these taxes that are necessary to economic growth and economic viability.
Well, we've also got to appreciate the difficulty that the government is in at this point, and it needs the support of the business community, such as those from the agri sector, to be able to pull this through. In fact, securing an IMF deal for that matter. And so, how can your sector help in this regard, if not help by paying taxes, some more taxes?
Well, the sector is already in a complete mess. We're coming up of the COVID-19. We are currently experiencing the post-COVID effect. We are currently also experiencing the problem with the Russian-Ukraine war, making food prices, especially inputs, gone up by 3 times the price. The forex exchange is not supporting importation of this import. And domestically, government is imposing more additional taxes that are not addressing the challenges of the industry, but rather mitigating against the prospects of the sector. The new revenue measures, whether they are looking at physical sustainability or not, for the agriculture sector, we have to eat. Everybody in Ghana has to eat, whether you are president or you are in the media or you are in the military or wherever you find yourself. You have to eat, and we need to produce very good nutritious food for this country. We just developed our national nutrition policy that is focusing on enhancing the national nutrition sectors. We can't continue to overburden a sector that is already overburdened. Yes, of course, we need to pay taxes, but government have to take some of the blame. Government has to take some part of the pressure. For instance, a lot of people now are talking about government large operational areas, especially with some of the agencies and ministries. Why is government not?
Yeah, the second person saying this afternoon.
Yes, because it's of immense importance to us. The agriculture sector employs 43% of the labor force in the country. If we are going to put more taxes in our way, that is going to be disingenuous for this industry. And I can tell you, for instance, if you look at some of the taxes we pay, and along the line, they have also introduced 2.5% VAT. All these things will affect production, manufacturing, and what have you. In addition to that, fuel prices keeps going up. We need to now be plowing at a very high rate. We need to also be importing due to the forex nature of the economy. And electricity and water have also gone up. This is not the best for this country, and we don't think that we need this at this point in time.
Well, I'm reading a letter dated 23rd January 2023, where you and some other stakeholders in the agri sector have been asking for some tax exemptions. And so you've been asking for this long before we heard about these new tax measures. I don't know how far this has gone, if you're getting some favorable response, but again, you are highlighting the risks if these tax measures are not removed. Are you getting favorable response, do you think, and does it look like anything that would be likely in the coming days?
So initially, we were able to get a VAT out on some of the agro import produce, but the major thing is the 5% total import levy, which is suffocating a number of agricultural importers that are importing the seeds. You know, we import more than 80% of our vegetable seeds, fertilizers, agrochemicals, and all the things that we need to produce food for this year. It will interest you to know that even Ministry of Food and Agriculture itself are yet to come up with the subsidies program and at the cost that the farmers will be paying. See, if the immediate steps are not taken, we only have about 30 days away from the major season. If we don't do the right thing now, because farming is about the right timing, the right application, and all that. If these rights are not done rightly, this will affect food on the market. Our population is increasing. We need to make sure that we are increasing the production. We need to make sure that we are not only increasing production, but also giving the best of nutritious food for these citizens. And this is very important for us.
All right. Thank you so much, Anthony Morrison, Chief Executive of the Agribusiness Chamber. I'm told there's a feed live from Parliament. We'll try and pick that, get our team in the control room to pick that for us so we can get a sense of what is happening there in Parliament. But Anthony Morrison just giving an indication that the agri sector cannot handle any more taxes because they are in a hard place right now and asking essentially for exemptions. You're watching The Marketplace. Let's turn to other stories for you. Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority, Dr. Albert Ntwi-Boesiako, has indicated that government's decision to regulate the cybersecurity space is to ensure development of the authority and also create an enabling environment for the professionals there to work. Here's more in this report from the CISO Summit organized by Innovari Ghana.
The CISO Summit brought together professionals in the cyber security space to deliberate on building a strategy for cyber resilience. The summit was held under the theme Cyber Security Modernization with a Threat-Informed Defense. Delivering his keynote address, Director General of the Cyber Security Authority, Dr. Albert Ntwi-Boesiako, said licensing professionals in the cyber security space will help develop more incentive from the ecosystem.
It is important to highlight the rationale and the benefit of the accreditation of cybersecurity professionals, because that is one of the most important things, and I believe this is what this fraternity belongs to. That's one of the main focus of regulations of the authority. Like any serious profession, ladies and gentlemen, there is a need for regulations. While the industry bodies like ISACA, ISC Square continue to play, if I haven't mentioned it, you are not excluded, continue to play a significant role in promoting cybersecurity skills development and standardization. There is a need at the national level to regulate individuals, irrespective of which industry body they belong to. The accreditation of cybersecurity professionals will guide further development of the cybersecurity profession in Ghana and will make it possible to create the necessary incentive to develop the profession.
Executive Director of Innovari, Ebo Richardson, added that government decision to license professionals in the cyber security space will help build an effective system against cyber attacks.
Government's drive to try and make sure that we have a structure helps us create that effective policing, if you like, or effective guidance security systems within a cyberspace environment, which will inure to the benefit of our collective society, because if we're going to become more technology and digital dependent, we need to make sure that that environment is also positive and that there's safety and security in that environment.
Cybersecurity professionals found operating without a license by 30th September would be charged with penalties.
All right, you're watching The Marketplace. We are taking you right now to Parliament, where we expect a vote on key revenue measures crucial for an IMF deal. MPs are debating that right now. We want to take you there. All right, and so those are live shots there from Parliament as MPs debate on revenue measures, which we expect them to vote on as part of requirements for an IMF deal. These tax measures are supposed to be voted on and passed by the government. There are three bills essentially: the Income Tax Amendment Bill, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill, and Growth and Sustainability Amendment Bill. We've already, even during this program, had some businesses kick against these taxes, saying it could lead to the collapse of their enterprises. And we've had, as Kwawu Asante has been reporting, a push by the government to, get the buy-in of the minority MPs who are against this bill. We don't know what the outcome will be, but once again, as you point out, it is a very crucial bill. That three crucial bills that need to be passed so that we can secure an IMF program. And so once the talk is over, we expect that there will be a vote. Now, as Kwawu Asante was explaining, we anticipate this is going to be a voice vote, but look, the numbers will also determine whether there's going to be the other way, which would be that there would be a head count. And so we are looking to see what the outcome would be. And so currently in Parliament, MPs deliberating on tax revenue measures that we expect to be passed. And again, as you point out, this is crucial for an IMF deal. We heard just a while ago from the Agribusiness Chamber, which is concerned about these taxes. Anthony Morrison saying we can't have any more taxes or else we can't survive as a sector. And you know that the agri sector has made some strides over the last few months. And so this, he says, will be a hard blow, which will take the agri sector back to where it was when it was underperforming. And so for the business community, they are also against these tax measures. They don't think that it would help in their quest to survive these hard times. And speaking of hard times, this is also a measure that the government is seeking to put in place to also get out of this economic crisis that we have had to experience following the excuses that government gives, or the reasons, I should say, the COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's war against Ukraine. Parliamentary correspondent Kwawu Asante joins me with the latest from over there. We see some sort of debate going on, Kwawu. What are the MPs talking about?
Right, exactly. So, Daryl, the Speaker of Parliament just came in, said that they are set to consider the appointment committee report. That report having to do with the ministerial nominees. The minority MPs say that they just got copies of the report. They just got copies of the report, and for which reason they think they wanted some more time to be able to consider all these details. Because Blacker was just on the feed, is telling the Speaker of Parliament because they just got copies, they believe it should take some time. The Speaker of Parliament is just speaking, saying that the member cannot argue that he just got copies and say that is a stupidity. So he's saying that this report was made months ago, about three weeks or so ago, and so the expectation is that a number of MPs will be getting their reports and so that they can be ready. And he will say that an agreement has been had at Congress for which we believe that they should be able to go forward. It's a crucial business. You see that both sides of the House, it's almost filled up on both sides of the House, very much ready because of the crucial nature of this business having to do with the ministerial. There are certain persons who personally support us for ministers of state, deputy ministers of state, or ministers of state and some substantive ministries. And the report has now been shared. So the majority people drank another bread going around the chamber and making sure that more members of parliament have their copies. And so that is the mode that we also just heard. I just heard from the deputy minority head Hamid Ibrahim was making a certain claim that this report was made in February. The expectation was that members of parliament would have gotten their copies, but it appears the copy was not distributed in time for members who are just seeing this report, maybe the 63-page report. They believe that they need some time to be able to go through the 63-page report before they have to vote. That is the argument that is being made by the minority side. The majority side clearly disagree. You can see them shouting over there, their minority colleagues, that this is not something that should stop the House from proceeding. Already we know that the minority have a stance. They're taking a stance. They are saying that they want these ministerial nominees to be rejected. For which reason they feel that FIFA should not have appointed any new person. They will not vote for these ministerial nominees. Their claim is that at least give the minority and more time to be able to consider this, and then we can go ahead to do this. And that is what some of the majority have been saying already. If you said that we will not approve this ministerial nominees, then you already know what you want to do. What do you want to look at the committee's report before you can do so? And so that is the main answer, Daryl. Any moment from now, the Speaker of Parliament said that the requisite documentation,